It couldn't captain of the ship, yeah. Cannons like a lotus, so it's time to flip the script, yeah. Cruising through the bay on that fucking whale battleship, sold up, screaming out. Buc what ya heard. So Buc what ya heard. All right, welcome back to Buc What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Buc What You Heard, and I'm joined by my co-host, my guy, my man, KB. How you doing, my friend?
Surviving, my man, surviving. It's a crazy world in Twitter.
It really is, man. It's a bizarro world where opposite opposing quarterbacks garner more respect than quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls. It's crazy
I'm gonna
world.
change my at to Dikembe Mutombo for Block City.
So how's that block party going, man?
It's fantastic, and honestly, it's refreshing because I'm only blocking people that literally don't have a name in their title and have like 5 followers. So I'm not. It's not like I'm missing anything.
It's funny because you remember Thomas Bassinger.
Who? Just kidding. No, I love T-Bass.
Yeah. That's my guy, man. That was my friend, man. I love that guy. We're supposed to link up and supposed to get him on here eventually. It's gonna happen. T-Bass, I ain't forgot about you, brother. But I told him, I always said, hey, it's almost Blocktober, man. You better get ready to start blocking some people, get that block party going. But I want to kind of jump in here real quick, man, and start talking about the preseason. Who are you guys looking? Who are you looking for? Who do you want to see? Who do you want to see play? I know Evan Winter wrote a really good article about this, and just want to kind of get your thoughts. Who do you want to see? Come in and play, and how do you think some of these players? Do you think that there are players out there or position battles that have yet to be won?
Yeah, well, the beauty of the Bucks is you're really talking about, the starters are solidified. If anything, it's Rojo versus Fournette, which I think Rojo is winning that battle. I think with Whitehead's injury, Mike Edwards might be starting. Mm-hmm. Those are the types of things that I'm looking for. And then obviously Joe Tryon, could he be an impact guy on this defensive line to give JPP and Shaq some breathers so that way they can be fresh late in season? And I think everyone's checked the boxes there. And that sets up for an exciting season.
Yeah, Real Bucks Talk did a really good job talking about Joe Tryon. I went back and I watched that game. I just watched clips. I just watched Joe Tryon play. And the one thing I noticed about him is he kept getting stronger and stronger as the game wore on. And I was watching the offensive linemen that had to block him. And I can't remember the guy's name. He's a second-round pick for the Titans. He's somebody they were trying to get him sometime. Plus will give me the name here in just a minute, or he may come on. Who knows? But I was watching him, and the thing that got me about him is his style of play changed from being aggressive to more reactive. And you, as an offensive lineman, I don't know if you went back and watched it, but I watched it, and there were plays where his footwork changed. Dylan, there we go. Dylan Radins.
Yeah, Radins.
Yeah. I'm watching him, and I'm watching his footwork because, you could tell you can coach me on this, I'm sure. But I don't know if you watched that, but it changed his whole style of play when because Joe Tryon was just relentless, and he used multiple moves. He didn't use the same, he used a bull rush. There were times there were swim moves and, chopping down the hands. He has a lot more to his arsenal than you would expect from a rookie. But But to this point, I know it's preseason. I'm not going to overreact. I'm not going to be part of the overreaction crowd. But I will say this, and Pless hit on it, stealing my thunder here: consistency, behaviors are things that you look for in a preseason game. Not wins and losses, behaviors. How does this guy line up? Does he still consistently play? If he gets beat, does he come back and do better? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, to me, the biggest thing that's has jumped off the page for me for Tryon, outside of being able to use multiple moves, is to keep offensive linemen off balance. I've seen him put an offensive lineman on their ass with a bull rush move. I've seen him beat someone with speed around the edge with bend. and not just going around him and washing himself out of the play, but I mean actually bend and create a lane for himself to the quarterback to rush a throw, to even get his sacks, because he's
Right.
really gotten 2 sacks. People want to take away, or you can take away the first one because of that penalty, but to
Mhm.
me, he's got 2 sacks this preseason. Hasn't played an extensive amount of snaps, which I think is good. Um, just giving him, the reps against guys like Dylan Radins, and in the Bengals, you can't really help who you play against. Like he was
Right.
playing against third and fourth string tackles, but we're going to talk about a different quarterback probably at some point. But you can only go up against the people that you're going up against,
100%.
and he is won significantly more than he's either been even or lost reps.
Yeah.
And that's just fantastic. That's the kind of stuff you don't expect to see from a rookie. That's what Antoine Winfield was doing last year. That's what Tristan Wirfs was doing last year. That's the kind of stuff that you just want to see. Because there's rookies that are going to develop like Tyler Johnson did, where hopefully mid to late season they're contributing. And then there's rookies that you don't expect to jump off the page. And I don't think anyone truly expected Tryon to have this impact.
Yeah.
And if he can just take 15, 20 snaps away from JPP and Shaq to rest for fourth quarters and for a playoff run, I think that's the most you could ask for from a rookie. And I think he's secured that role.
I'm really curious to know what they saw, because here's a kid, and he's a kid who took a year off because of COVID. He took a year off, worked on technique, and worked on his physique. He got himself into football shape. I think when he came into camp, he was in shape. His approach to the game is more mature than what we've seen. I mean, as a Bucs fan, going back years, there have been players that have come in and they didn't have that professional approach to the game, and factor in all the players that he can learn from. I mean, and I talked about this last week, JPP, Vita Vea, you can learn from
Sue, I
Sue
think
and
Sue's a big one.
yes, and Ndamukong Suh, quietly but coming in there and helping him to learn. And even Shaq Barrett, not to be mistaken with you, of course, but Shaq Barrett. And it's just incredible. He fell into such a good situation to where I believe that I don't know if he's a leader. I haven't been able to really glean that because it's preseason. We don't know what you have, but I believe that next year we're going to see, health. God forbid nothing happens, but a healthy Joe Tryon coming in here and being an important part of this team even next year. We can look forward to next year with players like this.
Well, and snaps play a big part of it too. I mean, Tristan Wirfs, God, bless him for coming in, and Antoine Winfield coming in playing starters reps right away.
Right.
Tryon, even though he had a knee scope this offseason that no one's really talking about, people thought he wasn't going to be ready for most of training camp. He's been physically there. You can see his mental approach there, and he's doing everything physically and mentally. He's checking off all those boxes, and that's the exact thing you want to see. And I think it's going to have carryover because when he plays his 15, 20 snaps a game, he's going to be able to he's going to be mainly out there on pass rush downs, at least to
Right.
start.
Right.
So he can try different moves. He's going to be in rush games with Sue, JPP, maybe even Vita. Like that's going to free him up. And that's the kind of confidence if he gets near the quarterback, if he gets close, if he has QB hits, those are going to turn into sacks. You can't expect sacks right away, but if you can get that confidence going week one, he's only going to get better and better.
And the one thing that I'll say that nobody's really talking about is how well he tackles. He's fundamentally sound. He's a fundamentally sound player. Just watching him, against running backs, and normally edge rushers, the knock on edge rushers, oh, they get ran over by running backs. But I feel like his angle of pursuit is really good. That might be something he may want to work on and sharpen up. But again, he's a rookie that he may look at trying to improve on. But other than that, I just love what he's doing, and his approach to the game is incredible.
And he's fast too. So let's say on a stretch run weak side, he has the speed and athleticism to catch a
Yeah.
running back and close down cutback lanes. That's
Exactly.
something the Bucs team, I mean, even with JPP and Shaq, they're relentless, but they don't have, at least JPP at this point doesn't have the physical, makeup that he did 5, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Shaq is a finesse guy. He's not the, jump off the page athleticism. Joe Tryon has the athleticism. He's got to tweak those couple things, get him some confidence. And I think we got to steal at 32, Gene.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Did you see that bull rush?
That's what I mean. He put, I think, don't hold me, it might have been Radins. I'm not going to act like I paid attention to every single defense or offensive line, backup offensive lineman for the Titans. But whoever he put on his ass, I mean, that's to do that at the NFL level. People don't understand how hard that is.
Exactly. Because how many players actually make it to the NFL from, and again, just kind of going back, this guy missed a year of college football. And he just, it's incredible.
I mean, we saw what happened to Le'Veon Bell. I mean, not playing a physical game like football can really set you back. And he somehow got better. If you look at his 2019 college tape, it's not what he's doing this preseason. Not much I can tell you.
Yeah, definitely. They were standing him. Offensive line were standing him up in college, and they were just kind of, shutting all that down. So, again, shout out to him for his professionalism and realistically working on things that he knew he needed to work on to make him a better player. And, this is an interesting question. Bucks Time 12. I'd like to know what Light's scouting process is. He must have great scouts right now. What changed these last few drafts? I believe Bruce Arians played a huge part in how their
coaching staff players. Too.
Yeah, coaching
staff's all involved in the process. I mean, I think you could tell from previous regimes there was a disconnect. I think, for instance, Dirk Cutter had an infatuation with OJ Howard, didn't know how to use him.
Right.
And there's these different, okay, we talked about the whole Duran James Vita Vea thing. At the end of the day, Mike Smith didn't know how to use him. Right. Like Todd Bowles and, the defensive staff, they have input. And that helps these college scouts because that allows the scouts to, when they meet these players, look for those smaller details and not worry about the film as much when you have the coaches who are going to help you with that as well.
Yeah. And Bucks Time 12 has another interesting question. And this, I swear, this is not a cop out, but honestly, right now with preseason, you're playing against third and fourth string, second string players. You're not really seeing the running backs face the talent that they will be facing in the regular season. So get at me on game 6. I would say game 6 of the regular season. And you should kind of see the dust shake out a little bit because you're always going to get those contenders and pretenders right out the gate where a team can just be slow out of the gates getting started. And then there are other teams that are fast out of the gates. But I think game 6 of the regular season is a great benchmark to know where your team is headed for the rest of the season. Michael Pless, what's happening, man?
Hey, excuse me. I'm like choking on my soda. How's it going, fellas?
Good. So we were talking a little bit about Joe Tryon. We were talking about your video. Please, if you have not seen this video on Real Bucks Talk where he breaks down Joe Tryon, please go check that out. realbuckstalk.com on YouTube. Follow him on Twitter at Real Bucks Talk on YouTube or Twitter.
And Michael Pless. He's got two accounts. Follow him on both.
My personal account's nothing. I don't check it. So
So how are things going, man?
Good. Yeah. I mean, Joe Tryon's a beast. I mean, he's well on his way to be something special.
And he's been consistent with what he's been doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a blessing that he was there at 32.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what KB was saying. He said the same thing. We were very fortunate to get him.
Yeah.
My question for you, in evaluating that game, because a lot of people don't want to look at that game, but these are games you really need to look at players that you think may make it on the team. Was there anybody else that kind of stood out to you? I mean, for me, O'Connor played good. I thought he did well. And Khalil, I thought Khalil did pretty good as well.
Yeah. Patrick O'Connor, he might be moving up the depth chart. That's for sure. Especially if he can pass rush like that, you can definitely get him above a Nacho.
Has he improved to you? Because it looks to me like this doesn't look like the same guy we've seen over the past few seasons.
I feel like he's gotten better every year, whether it be some facet of his game. I always thought he was pretty good in the run game.
Right.
I think his obviously a great fit as far as that technique, and then also playing as a 3 technique at times. So yeah, I mean, always been a very good special teams player.
Yeah,
And I feel like he's taken that next step. Again, it could be just, the guys he's going up against in preseason. Again, a lot of these guys are facing are not going to be opening day starters. So, you gotta pump the brakes. And, I'm trying to get very excited about Joe Tryon. But I think what you see from Joe, it's been a consistency throughout camp and also preseason. I mean, he's beating, when you hear he's beating Tristan Wirfs, Donovan Smith, and then he's going into, the games and, producing that, same result, then you have a trend there. And once you get a trend, usually you can back that up with success.
That's kind of where I was going. I know a lot of people are talking wins and losses. I mean, most people,
it doesn't matter.
Follow those people that follow the ball. They don't really look at the whole game, and that's cool. That's fine. But what I'm looking for is consistency. Does he play the same way? Does he play if he's playing at a high level this game? Does that translate to the next game? Do we see the fundamentals? Because they're playing with they're having vanilla play calling. You have to go out and you mentioned the word execution. You got to go out there and execute. And that's what it comes down to is this is your assignment. This is what you're told to do. This is what you have to go out and do. KB, you as an offensive lineman, former offensive lineman, you know what you need. You know what you needed to do. You just need to go out and execute. And if not, the coach was in your ass about it.
Well, and the worst thing is when someone beats you 5 different ways, I might call out sick instead of having to go to the film room the next day. Because I mean, that's what Tryon is basically doing right now.
Right.
Is he's like we mentioned, he's doing multiple moves. He has counters, he has speed to power, he has bend at the edge, and he has the strength to flatten you on your back. So as an offensive lineman, if you don't know what's coming, and then what's great is when I mentioned earlier is when he does get on the field in regular season action, he's going to be in twist games with Vita Vea, Ndamukong Suh, Shaq Barrett. Hell, if they do the whole 3 outside linebackers with JPP inside, I mean, that's speed, and that's his game. He has more speed than JPP and Shaq. So if he bends the edge and gets a one-on-one, that's a sack.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very impressive as far as what they're going to be able to throw out there. Not to mention Tryon's ability to confuse quarterbacks because of his attributes to drop back into coverage, and take things away. They could do a lot of zone blitzes with him where you could see Tryon getting some interceptions possibly because he's just so quick to get to his spot. He's much more athletic than JPP. Shaq.
He's got more fingers too.
He's got more fingers, So.
I'm sorry, I'm terrible. Saints fans bring all the negativity.
How do you match him up? I mean, could you match him up realistically with a tight end?
Oh, for sure.
Well, you think you can? I mean,
well, I think
just like just like a quick.
I thought you meant like just blocking in general.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, you can take on a tight end, but no coverage. I think just dropping him into the flats.
Zone, zone him. Don't man him.
Exactly. Zone.
I mean, I'm sure he could maybe run with a couple of them. I'm sure that could happen. I don't know how successful it would be, but
I don't see him doing that.
No. I mean, he covers a lot of ground. That's for sure. Because of his just length, size. I mean, it's funny that I heard a comparison of Simeon Rice, and that's high praise. But I mean, when you look at the body types and you look at his skill set, very similar. Very similar.
But he's still got to go out there and prove it. It is season. Yeah, and like you say, pump the brakes. I'm not going to get into the whole overreaction thing, and I want to talk about this, and I know this is probably going to be a sore subject for Bucs fans, but it is newsworthy. You had the New Orleans Saints playing the Jacksonville Jaguars on Monday, and now you've got they're setting the quarterback up with the gold jacket. He's the starter, and but us as Bucs fans, we've watched.
Never heard this storyline before, Gene. Never heard this one before.
We've watched this movie I don't know how many times. I mean, I can tell you 2016, 2017, 2018. I've watched this
5 years.
Dude, I've watched the workout videos. I watched all this stuff. I've heard the press conferences. And if somebody shows you who they are, you got to believe them. And that's pretty much where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a wait and see with Jameis. Obviously, I mean, we know he can throw the football.
Oh, absolutely.
That's not a
He has
question.
all the physical tools in the world.
Yeah.
I'm just saying when we get down to game 10 to game 17, somewhere off in there, the games that matter, you know, is it going to be preseason Jameis or is it going to be Buccaneers Jameis? I mean, who's it going to be? You know, that's going to show up.
Well, I think, the benefit of him playing with Sean Payton is obviously the structure of the offense, I think, is going to help him. It's going to protect some of, it's going to protect from his weaknesses, which is that aggressive nature. And, it'll be interesting to watch, see if he can take that consistently week to week. That's been his biggest issue. He'll have, 5 touchdowns one week and then it's, 5 interceptions the other week. So,
and I think it's going to be those games where he gets behind. And how does he respond to that? Because I think for me, him not keeping his emotions in check is what really hurts him at times. Because there have been times where he's gotten so hyped that he doesn't settle down until the second quarter, the middle of the second quarter, and then he plays decent. But by that time, the Bucs are behind or team is behind. You got to play from behind, and he's not doing his defense any favors, putting him on a short field with turnovers and such. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Like you said, I'm not trash talking. I'm just calling based on what I've seen, his body of work here in Tampa and, just where he's at right now. So I did want to ask you, there was an interesting article Evan Winter wrote about the different positions and his 10 players that have to play good in this Houston Texans game. So we're looking at Tanner Hudson, Cody McElroy, and Jarrell James. I think Tanner Hudson's, this is his job to lose. I would think. I don't know.
I don't think any of them make it, to be honest. I think they'll go with
Tanner.
Yeah, I think they go with 3 tight ends and see if any of those guys can get back on the practice squad.
Yeah,
that's just
Neil L. What's going on, Neil? They're talking about another person that Evan was talking about was Nick Leverett. What do you think? This is a guy that could potentially make the team.
Ideal guard. I don't think he's a center or a tackle, but ideal offensive guard that in a pinch he could provide flexibility, which is good. I think he's the contender for that 9th spot as an offensive lineman.
All right, KB. You're an O-line guy.
KB freeze.
Oh, he froze.
Am I frozen?
Yeah, you're back. I think you're back.
Am I back?
You're back.
Okay. Nick Leverett. I mean, I think, again, as Plus said, we're looking at offensive lineman 9 here. I mean, guard is a very tough position right now in terms of a backup role. I mean, we already have one at least cemented. Tackle would probably be his best bet, but then, there's some guys who've already put some film out there and done, decent with their opportunities like Josh Wells. So I don't know. I think Hudson has a better chance of making this roster right now. But I mean, offensive lineman 9.
Yeah.
Heck, it can be anyone at this point.
That's kind of a reach, if to be honest.
Yeah. And get Robert Hainsey back this week, which will be.
Oh yeah, that's going to be huge.
That'll be big, and see what he can do. Obviously, he's got versatility where he can play center, guard, if need be.
All right, Jaden Mickens. Here's a guy I honestly, I'm going to be honest. I did not think he was going to be on this team. I didn't think he was going to be practicing, or I didn't think he was going to have a spot because of the legal issues. I was just I wasn't sure how that's all going to play out. And right now, I'm not sure how this is going to play out. Has he done enough in the games that he's been involved in to garner attention where he could potentially make this team?
I'd be surprised if he makes it.
only because if Darden hasn't done as well as he has, granted he hasn't done anything spectacular in the return game, but we also have a really bad return, coverage team. But I think he's flashed enough to save the roster spot in terms of using that wide receiver. Keep 6, don't need 7.
Right.
Use that for a defensive player.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
He might be a practice squad though.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a legit opportunity for him.
Yeah.
I think they definitely want to bring back Travis Johansson. I think he'll be the guy on the practice squad if they can.
Now I like his game. I think that he's raw, but I think that the coaching staff, they can work with him and get him up to speed. I think he would be somebody to look at possibly next year, as somebody to compete.
Yeah, they're trying to keep as many guys as they can for the eventual if it does happen, Chris Godwin leaving. So they want to have options there with Tyler Johnson and Travis Johansson. But yeah, I shake my head too.
Disapprove that message.
Because
I know.
I think
be prepared. You always have to be
myth. This wise man told me the salary cap is a myth, and I believe him.
It is a myth, yeah. I mean, Thanos is real, so.
Well, Carolina just, I believe, signed Robbie Anderson pretty much as DJ Moore protection in case they lose him.
Right. Yeah.
So
I saw
Bucks,
that was a good contract for him.
Yeah. And, again, the best ability is availability. These guys got it. They have to stay healthy. They have to be on the field to help this team. I mean, that just doesn't help their situation.
I think Carolina's brewing up some good stuff. I mean, I just think they just got to figure out quarterback. If they do, they have everything's pretty solidly built except for paying your running back, but everything else, that and left tackle. Other than that, I think they're doing the right things.
Yeah, they are. Their secondary is kind of suspect a little bit,
but they're going to play zone. I mean,
yeah. It's funny that Carolina and New Orleans are, I think, in the same situation. I mean, you look at Sam Darnold and Jameis Winston. I feel like they're the same guy in their careers right now. So, they're both trying to, jump back into the scene here and be that guy for a team. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I think that will shape up who finishes second in this division.
100%.
We haven't asked you officially, plus, but do you think Monday Jameis solidified his spot?
I feel like you have to go that way. Taysom Hill is just so, I don't know. I mean, he brings you some good things, obviously, with the mobility and the ability to make some trick plays and stuff like that, play different positions. I feel like that's where he's best, just used as that wild card option.
Exactly.
I want to see Sean Payton say Taysom Hill's going to start, play him literally one snap at quarterback, and maybe he might play 5 or 10 for the whole game, but Jameis plays 75%. I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a huge uproar, I think, if Jameis isn't named, but he might go no name. The in-house knows, no one else knows prior to week 1.
Well, this is what I struggle with. The cohesiveness of your team depends on who's at quarterback. And over the past, I don't know how many years, it's always been Drew Brees. Drew Brees is your guy coming in here, and then you can just, work on things together during camp. But when you're having camp battles, like what is that saying? What did you say? Plus, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback.
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So, I mean, these guys are sitting here competing, and the fact that Jameis Winston has not come out and overwhelmingly beaten Taysom Hill for that starting quarterback position is a very big question mark for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I look at Taysom Hill, like you, he's an offensive weapon. He's not a quarterback. Because if you put him under center, and I've said this week in and week out, defensive coordinators are like, okay, we know what this guy's going to do. We know if he goes into the Wildcat, we know how to defense against this. But when he comes on the field, you're like, you don't know how to really defense this guy because he comes in for a play and he goes out, or he'll come in for 3 plays and he'll go out. You can have him at tight end. You can have him at wide receiver. You can even put him at running back. You can put him at, in the Wildcat. There's so many different things you can do with him that they really can't defend. And you're taking all of this offensive way by making him your starting quarterback and making film where you can actually game plan a defense against him.
Well, I
Yeah.
think Payne's doing a good job, at least game that what I saw in that Jaguars game. Play calling was spot on, minus 2 penalties on their second drive. I mean, I think they could have even sustained a third scoring drive. So it's if he can call plays like that and Jameis follow suit with the progressions, at least getting the ball out on progression 3 and not trying to play hero ball, he's got the offensive line to make it work. But we all know it's what does Mike Tyson say? You always have a plan until you get hit in the mouth.
Exactly. But
So
what
we'll see come week 1.
Yeah, and what you have to consider too is this guy, Jameis Winston, walked out with a clean jersey. They weren't touching him. They weren't getting close to him.
Yeah, they did a lot of good things schematically, and that's why I feel like this could be a very good fit for Jameis, where it allows him to be protected the way he needs to be, just from himself, really. They did it with Carson Wentz back in Philly, and now they're going to do it with Jameis. And, he's going to have a running game. He's going to have an offensive line. And obviously, I felt like he had an offensive line here, but again, we won't get into that story because of the scheme definitely hindered him. But now you look at Sean Payton and the way he's leading Jameis, I think it could be very, very good for them, and obviously make the Saints much tougher this season.
But I think something to point out real quick is with Bruce Arians, we saw you can get away with 30 interceptions. Remember, this offense in New Orleans isn't used to throwing more than 5-8 picks a year. Yeah. So even if Jameis is throwing 15, that might spell more issues for New Orleans because they're all about ball control, playing good defense, having superb special teams. Yeah. And you can't, twice as many turnovers from what you're expecting normally from a Drew Brees season is not even a good recipe. So people might think, he might only throw 15 or 20 interceptions. If that's still the case, that's still not good. That's probably equivalent to 30 in Bruce Arians.
Right. Yeah. The only thing I can say to counter that is they could be more explosive. So it could be faster drives.
Oh, yeah. We saw that the 55-yard ball in the air to Callaway.
Right.
People will say that was a bad throw, but as a quarterback, I don't know where else you can really put that.
Yeah, there's nowhere else you can put it. But that's what I'm saying.
I thought he let it go with good timing. Again, once this guy, he saw open space, he threw it to space, which was nice. And, great.
Callaway just made an amazing play, which, by the way, he's not wide receiver 1. He's not better than Mike Evans. I'm sorry. That went viral today, and I can't agree with that. Even Mia Kimes responded to that one, but
I'll let it go, bro. Like I said, man, it's the preseason.
7 1,000-yard seasons, Gene, in a row. He's about to be 8.
Yeah. There was a lot of good comedy last night. I think I replied to one of them, but it was just it was funny to see the comments. Like, bro, they're so happy. They're so happy over a division championship. I'm like, it doesn't equate to a Super Bowl.
You know how they say like Mike Evans had this terrible playoff run, and then my boy Kunal puts out there Mike Thomas's playoff run.
Yeah.
0 catches, 0 yards, 0 touchdowns. Like Mike Evans was throwing up 30 and 50 yards, but with like 2-3 TDs.
Yeah.
And
people forget
now.
Mike was drawing a lot of pass interference calls. He was moving the
Marshawn.
Yeah. So.
And it's looking like this guy may he may skate on all those charges.
We're talking about Marshawn or Marshawn.
Oh, yeah. When are they going to announce that? It seems like it's getting pretty late in that process.
I don't know. Let's wait and see. I'm sure Wrong Way Roger will figure something out or mess it up or something. I don't know.
So, I have a question for y'all. I haven't watched the Falcons at all. How's Kyle Pitts looking?
I haven't seen much of him.
Hadn't gotten to see him sample size of him really.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's going to play this weekend, with the starters, because Matt Ryan really hasn't played at all either. So,
okay.
I don't have much to report on him. Defensively, again, they don't look very good. So it's an open.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, open sleeves over there.
I'm gonna get the prayer candle out for their secondary because they're gonna need it.
Speaking of prayer candle, did you see about our week 1 opponent, the Dallas Cowboys? Like 7-8 guys on COVID reserve list right now. This is the thing the Bucs went through last year. It seemed every week 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players just seemed to be on the COVID list. And then obviously with Mike Vrabel coming out with COVID after the week long of practices, and Suckup's not going to play, but it seems like he's the only casualty.
Yeah,
but thankfully.
Yeah, I'm bullish on Suckup, if you don't already know.
Well, we might see. Apparently, the Bucks, according to Rick Stroud, really like this Baraglos. I forgot his last name. He's been killing it at Jose. He's been killing it in camp, and they thought maybe they could stash him on the practice squad. But if he comes out and kicks,
you can't.
They can't get away with it. But
I don't think they're going to let him kick. I think if they get it,
that was Stroud's a point. He's like, they might see them go for 2. You might. Oh, we're just trying to prepare. See situational football.
It wouldn't surprise me if they just don't let him kick at all.
I mean, you were at camp. Is his leg that impressive?
I wasn't able to see him.
Okay.
I mean, he was on the very far field. I saw Ryan Suckup, obviously kick kicks, but from what I've heard, I mean, yeah, he's been everything they wanted, and he was legit at Miami. So, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. He's got a very strong leg. He's made consistently 60-yarders in practice. So
it's crazy.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if they just go for it on Saturday and not let him kick at all.
I think they really need to rename preseason and just call it evaluation.
That's what it is.
They should call it week 1 of evaluation, week 2 of evaluation, week 3 of evaluation.
It's staying healthy
because people think preseason. They forget about the pre and they think season, and they're thinking about the score. And I don't know if you guys have seen some of the Facebook hot takes. I've been trying to stay away from them. I've been trying to avoid them, but they're like in my face. And I've heard people talking about the Bucks are trash. Got to throw the whole team away. I've seen that one.
Oh my God.
And all I'm doing, I'm just screenshotting these.
Well, remember, I don't think fans are used to even having a preseason. I mean, maybe the NFL will adopt this, maybe take a preseason off every couple years just to mix it up a little bit. But no, there's too much money to be lost there because they charge everyone full boat. But I mean, I think fan engagement, I think this is the most engagement I've ever seen in fans in my, adult life in terms of the preseason.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what it is. Like last year we had no preseason, so we're just not used to this. And, people forgot what preseason is all about. And, 1, it's about not getting injured. And then 2, it's just about execution. You're just seeing if these guys can execute the plays. That's pretty much it.
And by execution, they're playing strictly man. They're playing strictly cover 2. They're playing strictly cover 3. They ain't corner blitzing like the Bucks were in the Super Bowl. Like no one's doing that. No one's gonna put that on film.
Yeah, they're just calling their plays, and they're just trying to see guys see if they can actually do the play that is called, and see whose athleticism is actually good enough for the NFL. And that's pretty much it. And you just want to stay healthy. You want to get healthy, see whose athleticism is actually good enough for the NFL. And that's pretty much it. I don't know what that was.
Oh, sorry, that was on my end. Sorry, that was on my end.
Okay.
I want to ask you guys. I want to ask you guys about this real quick. What about that call? The blown call by NFL officiating, that was either a fumble or incomplete pass. I don't know how did they get, not a fumble, but that was either down by contact or incomplete pass. What the hell? How did they get? I mean, I'm trying to logically go back through this to understand what happened here. What did I miss?
The officiating doesn't care. They also understand their umpires when it comes to the equivalent of the MLB. They want the spotlight on them. Rule clearly states if the ground causes a fumble, it's dead. On the spot. You can't. If anything, that's an interception. If you want to call it anything.
Yeah, because
once Hudson's knee is down, he's touched down, and then the ball makes the ground makes the ball come out. Plays dead.
Yeah.
And if they want to let it play, that's fantastic. Let it play, but you got to get it right on the review.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. He's down by contact. And you know what? I go back to the XFL, and I know you guys are thinking I'm crazy here, but you had the people in New York talking with the officiating crew, and we could listen to it. We could understand, okay, this is why they came up with this. This is why I didn't have a problem with officials in the XFL. And you know what? The guy that blew a call got fired.
Well, COVID ruined the XFL, which is sad because they were having discussions on different rule changes for what the XFL was doing.
Exactly.
So I think The Rock's going to bring some of that stuff back, Lord willing, that they can actually play next season. But I think that can spark change, hopefully.
And that's my whole point. I mean, we need and with sports betting, imagine this. Imagine that was a close game, a less than a touchdown game, and these jackasses blow that call in a regular season. I'm here to tell you there's problems. There's going to be problems. And there will eventually be, and this, you've heard this here first, there will eventually be some kind of something will happen to referees when, whether it's financially or suspension or something will happen to referees when they blow calls like this.
I can tell you that it won't, though, at least from what Jake Arians, if you listen to his show with Jamie Eisner, apparently the referees are still going to be part-time, employees for the next, I think, 5 or 7 years. They signed their own collective bargaining agreement there. And to me, it's like baseball. I mean, feel free to disagree, but the more like we all know who Angel Hernandez is. You might not even be a baseball fan, and you might know who Angel Hernandez is.
And that's disgusting. You shouldn't know who the refs are. You shouldn't have to know who they are. They don't matter. Well, they do matter, but they shouldn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, when I look at that play, it's like their explanation was, "Oh, the ball was coming out on the way down." I was like, "But he regained control."
He didn't get a football. He didn't make a football move, though.
Well, he was tackled, and then he regained control of the football, and then he touched the ground, and then the ball pops out. So it should have been just down by contact. But
exactly, if anything, or incomplete pass.
But whatever. It's they don't even know, they don't know it. They don't know what a catch is anymore. They don't know what
They need.
How many rules can you have to define a catch but still not know what a catch is?
Exactly. And they have replay to look at this and then look at the rule book, and they still can't.
I would have wanted to hear that conversation, because don't they talk to New York, or they talk to somebody else as they're reviewing all this?
Oh yeah. New York was telling the ref, "Okay, we're gonna screw Kyle Trask here, make him look terrible," and then Tanner Hudson.
We want him out.
Must take away his gold jacket for preseason Hall of Fame. Exactly. Because he's got a fumble 6 on his
Yeah,
book.
we want Tampa. We want Tanner Hudson out of Tampa. So this is a fumble.
That was a beautiful pass.
Between that game and the Cincy game, I mean, I'm not trying to say refs are against the Bucs. I mean, it's the fucking preseason, but like, there's been some really bad calls against the Bucs.
That's Justin Fields.
And a lot of one-sided overall penalty games.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they've got to clean this up. I'm telling you, with sports betting here, I'm telling you guys, you don't believe me, but there's so much money that's getting ready to start pouring into these sports that the refs are going to be held accountable.
Oh, it's there, Gene. If you didn't know, man, these top bettors that make their living doing this stuff, they take that refereeing into account.
Yeah, I was talking with Harry the Greek was telling me about that. I didn't realize they had to factor in who the referee staff is,
referee, weather, location. Obviously, people know of the West Coast, East Coast thing, but even in just Eastern Central, going to that time zone change, like people have all of these, formulas to dictate this stuff.
I don't listen. I don't want to look on TV and actually know the referee's name. I don't care who you are. I genuinely don't. But you end up learning the referee's name because they're always throwing flags and getting FaceTime. Well, then football players should be able to take their helmets off
and throw up the peace sign.
Exactly.
Yep.
I'm sure I'll get a fine. I'm sure Roger will be emailing me shortly to fine me for.
They literally used Antoine as a reason to change the policies. Like they literally called that out in their policy change and how can you tell teams that they can celebrate a touchdown, but they can't celebrate, for instance, a first down or an interception?
Intent.
Well, and remember, all these players are talking, Gene. We heard this on the live broadcast. We could hear the cursing. We could hear what was being said, and that these players are talking for 3 hours straight. And you're telling me that they're going to talk all this smack? Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is going to get in, let's say, Mike Evans' head on a play, and then Mike Evans makes a first down and he spins the ball in his face. I mean, that's what football is all about, man.
Exactly. If you can't stop him, then you just have to deal with the consequences. Who was the running back that got a first down?
Oh, it was was it the Colts?
The Colts. Did you see that?
He didn't even do anything though, which was the worst part.
We didn't hear. I didn't hear what he said.
I mean, he said something. It wasn't his actions. It was whatever he said. But still,
I'm sure he said something about that dude's mom or something like that, because it wasn't anything that guy did. He was just hyped up that he got that first down, because he pretty much drugged the whole defense with him. But I don't know.
And then there's the players who get fined for wearing low-cut socks. The NFL is so fickle. I can't understand.
I guess that's all part of the collective bargaining agreement right there, the socks part. I think the uniform.
Remember the players agreed to even the trash talking and the spinning of the ball, like the situations we're just talking about with celebrations. The players agreed to that, apparently. Taunting, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Unbelievable. Why?
I don't know. It's
so you could do a backflip. You could throw the peace sign and do a backflip in the end zone. That's okay.
I mean, from what I've seen, I thought it was okay to celebrate a first down. You just can't do it towards a player. Like you can still.
You can't do anything towards the player. That's the thing. You can't do anything.
Yeah, you just can't do anything.
Be like walking up on me, and then it just happens. It's still
you just have to look out for that.
Yeah,
you just can't.
So you have to do one of these.
Yeah, that's gonna be the that's gonna be the celebration, Gene. It's just looking left and right.
Well, I forgot who said this recently, but they got a first down and they spun the ball and did the whole first down, chant, and then the ref's right next to him. He's like, "You got to watch where you're pointing, sir."
Mm-hmm.
And the guy and the player was just like, "Well, crap." I mean, that's what everyone's instinct is like.
Yeah. I think that happened to Jaden Mickens, if I'm not mistaken. And
might have been Mickens. I don't remember who, but someone was just like, if that player's standing across from me and I'm doing the whole first down thing, that's technically a taunt because I'm pointing at that person.
Right. Yep.
See, that's what I'm saying. They're
bogus. It's a lot of bogus.
And I'm sure that hopefully they'll get enough of a pushback that they'll change the rules, I hope. But I don't know. I feel like when they look at this whole thing in context, it should have been Tyreek Hill should have been the reason for taunting because of what he did. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you want to be realistic about this, and Tyreek Hill didn't have a problem with the peace sign.
Yeah.
In all defense, Antoine Winfield's thing should have been a penalty. I'm not going to be mad about it.
Yeah, it should have been, but they shouldn't make a rule change because of it.
That's exactly my point, Gene.
They're being reactionary instead of proactive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. So just keep scoring touchdowns. You celebrate all you want.
I have a question for y'all. Have you been watching Hard Knocks?
I watched it last night.
Is it me or is this the most boring season I've ever seen?
It's just very slow. I don't feel like they've really done a great job of picking the right storylines. Last night's episode was okay because at least I learned some more about the players. I thought it was good that they showed the international guard. I thought that was cool. Him being from Mexico. Just get a little background. His mom was hilarious. She was just cheering the whole time. So that was cool. But they just haven't done enough of that. I don't feel like they've really built it up in the right way. It's been just, let's show Dak Prescott and him doing nothing, or
Zeke doing something weird.
Zeke doing something weird, or just getting fat on candy.
I think you're muted, Gene. Just letting you know.
My bad. Yeah,
there we go. I was like, I saw you were trying to contribute there.
Yeah,
it's just hard for me with Dallas at all because I hate him.
Yeah,
and I mean, this is totally biased. I do not like them at all. I don't like anything.
Well, I think they could have even done cooler and better things with Jerry. I just don't think they're even capitalized. I think I didn't realize Mike McCarthy was like this boring. he's like so 1990s of a football head coach. Like he's like a toned down version of like John Gruden minus all the fun antics in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're treating the organization very old school, which contrasting even what we saw even last year with the Rams and Chargers. Like you had the two different personality types. Like even though it was two different teams, like they found a way with COVID to somehow make it work and make it interesting. But like the Cowboys, if it's not Dak or Zeke, last episode I think was the first time they've even like mentioned CeeDee Lamb, which was to me bonkers. Amari Cooper, like as well. Like I haven't even seen Michael Gallup. Like those are fun players to like represent. They're not even doing those players well, which I think is just annoying.
Yeah, and I thought again they did a better job of like showing DeMarcus Lawrence and showing like his leadership. That was good, but yeah, there's just a lot of missing storylines. You don't really have those personalities like you did in the old seasons of Hard Knocks. Like for me personally, my favorite is the 2010 Jets, like Hard Knocks.
Rex Ryan killed it, baby.
Rex Ryan is the best, and then you had the whole Darrelle Revis drama. There's just a lot of good stuff there. Obviously, and again, you just don't have those moments. Maybe we're going to get to that. I don't know, but it just seems like it's missing those moments. Like you don't have Devontae Davis come in. Oh, you've been traded. It's like.
Or Antonio Cromartie, like, oh, by the way, I have like 15 kids and I don't know the names of any of them. Like, I can know like 5 of them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that was a good part last night. I thought the Trayvon Diggs kid was hilarious.
Well, I love Micah Parsons, but like Micah Parsons got like episode 1 love. I feel like I've barely seen Micah Parsons since. Like this guy was like playing chess with like quarterbacks, and he was getting pissed off like Kobe Bryant, like he was losing.
Yeah,
these guys get to decide how much of impact they have on the show or not. How does that work?
I think it's just up to Hard Knocks. I mean, they just
baby.
Yeah, they just cut it and they show what they want to show, and that's that's pretty much it.
Mike Pless knows this best because most of the times I'm not able to watch their show live is because I'm watching Bachelor. Sorry for everyone out there, but like the producers, control the show.
Bro. You don't have any choice, bro. You're engaged. It's all good. I get you.
Hey, Pless knows I'm calling in whenever Bachelor is like not in season, but you got to do some things for happy wife, happy life in terms of
100%,
she watches football, I watch this stuff. But I mean, like Hard Knocks, it's literally all producers. They have the hundreds of hours of tape. They're going to tell players what to do. I mean, like it is what it is. I mean, I don't think Micah Parsons wanted to play the backup quarterback in chess, but they did. Like the most staged game of chess I've ever seen.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just it could have been done better, but we'll see. Again, there's still I think like 2 more episodes, so we'll see what they do with it.
I mean, hopefully they show them getting ready for the Bucs game, and then by the time that airs, I mean, I thought the Cowboys might put up 30 against us, but especially if Dak doesn't play, even if he does, I don't see. I mean, even if the Bucs offense struggles because it's week 1, I don't see how they lose this game. I really don't. I'm 99.9%. All my chips are in.
Mm-hmm. What is the situation with his shoulder? I mean, is it a legitimate injury or are they downplaying?
We don't know, Gene. They ain't telling.
Yeah.
All I know is they've consulted MLB teams. He's throwing mini footballs. They're trying to keep the workload down while still increasing blood flow. But I mean, it's not looking good. Mm-hmm. I mean, they obviously just signed him to that ginormous contract, so they're not going to risk it.
Yeah.
It's just not a good situation.
It really isn't. I mean, I feel bad for him. And if there's any, and you guys will probably never hear me say this, but I am on video going on record saying this. I actually liked watching him play last year. I thought it was, I love football over anything, and I can, put differences aside, and just getting to watch Dak out there playing was incredible. And he was playing at a high level, and then the injury occurred. And now this happens. It's just so many. I don't know. Are the Cowboys cursed or something like that? Which I wouldn't have a problem with that. But
yeah, I mean, me personally, I want to see him at his best. I want to see him play well. Obviously, it's a great test for our defense. I want to see our defense come out and go up against a revamped or healthy offensive line in the Cowboys and see what we can do against them and see if our secondary can make some, plays against these talented receivers that the Cowboys present. So,
yeah, exactly. And that's kind of where I'm at. They allegedly talk about how these wide receivers are the guys, but I mean, Amari Cooper, you can't keep him on the field. I think you've only got maybe one out of the three that's been somewhat consistent.
right.
And again, I don't know what their tight end situation is, but they do have a good offensive line. Ezekiel Elliott has yet to show up after signing that massive contract. So, I think there's a lot more questions in Dallas than there are in Tampa. I love the run defense that Tampa presents. I feel like, you kind of take the run away, and now what do you do? As Dallas, what do you do? Mike McCarthy, I'm not sold on him as being that guy as far as being a head coach. I think he had a very stellar team that he was working with, and they just all the stars aligned and everything fell into place. But I just don't see him as a guy that can lead a team to a Super Bowl.
I agree. And then just for Dak Prescott, their first 3 games, I wouldn't be surprised if Dak Prescott doesn't play till week 4. Their first 3 games, Bucks, solid, amazing, up and coming defensive line. Chargers, already established, Joey Bosa. I mean, yes, they don't have Melvin Ingram anymore, but they still have a stout interior. Then you got the Eagles, who, I mean, if that might be the soonest game I think I could see him coming back in. But even then, I don't know if I want to throw him in against the Eagles. That's a stout defensive line. And then their week 4 games, the Panthers. So Brian Burns is coming out. I mean, this is not a good situation for Cowboys fans. They need that offensive line to stay healthy and be what they were 3 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, I think I think Dak plays week 1. I don't think he's going to sit out. Yeah, I think he plays. I just don't know how good he'll be. Obviously because hasn't had much game speed. This will be him. First time playing since injury, really. So yeah, it's an interesting situation because again, like you said, with the COVID situation, they have guys. I think CD Lamb is one of those dudes. So I think he's their best receiver personally. I think he's their most talented guy.
I do too. I would take him over Amari Cooper.
Yeah, and Amari Cooper, same thing. Like this will be his first time playing since his offseason surgery, and so those things are just to keep an eye on and see what happens. But the Bucks, I think, are in a great situation for that first game. Again, clearly, if we're healthy, I think it should be a great game for us Bucks fans because Dallas defense is just it's going to struggle. Unfortunately, I think
I like the start of our season. We start off Thursday night, with an off season, you can get that little bit of a mini bye week in there. Then you got the Falcons at home after a 10-day break. That's a solid 2-0 in my eyes. Then you have to go play the Rams and Patriots. But I think getting that, college preseason, in there playing those 1AA teams, I think that's going to be a huge confidence booster for this team. They don't have to do anything scheme-wise that's going to be crazy. Players most likely, hopefully, are going to stay healthy because their snaps are going to be limited. I mean, I think this is a great start for the Bucks in terms of being a fan right now.
And the thing is, to me, they have to come out strong. They have to come out fast. In previous seasons, the Bucks have always come out slow, and just I don't know how to really explain it. But they've always come out slow against, it didn't matter who it is. And then they build up momentum. We kind of saw that a little bit. That game against New Orleans in the beginning of the season, they should have won that game. But for, all intents and purposes, you got a brand new team, a lot of players that are just getting together. Your quarterback is brand new. So there were a lot of things that were working against them. But the majority of your starters, all of your starters, have been in this Bruce Arians defense for 1 or 2 years. So this consistency, and plus we've talked about this in years past, the Bucks have not had that consistency before. So I'm very confident in what they have this year because they do have that consistency, whether it's with teammates or coaching staff. They all know each other, and this should make it a little bit easier to go in and execute and play like they need to.
Yeah, and hopefully we see some good execution this Saturday. Our starters are playing probably a half, and
Yeah.
Against
hopefully
Lovey, baby.
against Lovie Smith with his beard, and yeah, it should be
Lovey.
it should be fun. So hopefully we get some good execution, score some touchdowns. You see some good things from the defense, and then get off the field and let the last couple of spots battle it out. But for the most part, this roster is set, and yeah, I mean, you just got to get out of this healthy, and you just want to see some good rhythm being built, and then take your 4 days off that you have to do, and then come back strong and have a good week of practice.
It's got to be Trask, man. They got to get some. Trask has to get reps.
Do you think they might try to limit him at least a little bit, though? Maybe just throw Ryan Griffin out there for a lot of the second half, just to give looks. I mean, at Trask at this point, he's gotten his cup of tea. Think of like what you want to do with a young baseball player. You don't want him to have 500 at bats their rookie year. So maybe I would love to see Trask play, but I think BA's just throwing it out there that like, hey, we're going to protect this guy. I mean, expose him to so much his rookie year. I mean, we know Gabbert's number 2. We don't have to worry about that.
Yeah,
I don't think Griffin's going to be on this roster, so why not? Unless he's a practice squad guy, so why not limit him?
Yeah, I'm with you. I just don't see Griffin making this team. I would be shocked if he did.
I want to see Trask with the 2s. Like, I just want to see what he has without a completely trash offensive line. And then remember, our second line of receivers is Scotty, Jalen, and Tyler Johnson. I want to see him with that, not, I forgot who we mentioned earlier. Like even Travis Johnson,
or
Justin Watson, Mickens, like nothing against those guys, but like I just want to see Trask with just some decent people around him to see if because we saw that throw to Hudson, we saw him off the back of his foot for that 2-point conversion. But I think we all need to see just a consistent play, and I think having consistency around him would be nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
I don't want to see him playing with the 4s again on Sunday. Or on Saturday. I just don't want to see that again. I already know what that's going to look like. If he's going to play him with the 2s. Like Gabbert sit for all I care.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they dice it up. Obviously, I don't think the starters will go into the third quarter. They'll probably be out by halftime, and then
I think they get pulled before halftime. Personally,
it very well could be. And then from that point, do you put in Griffin or do you put in Trask as your next guy? I don't think they'll play Gabbert. I don't think there's a reason to.
I think Gabbert would finish the second quarter, but then that second half.
Okay.
I mean, it's open season is what I would predict. Because I mean, I think the Stars are going to play the majority of the first half. Maybe Gabbert gets like 2-3 drives in there, but then he can just call it a day.
Yeah. And I guess my thing is these are all consummate professionals on both ends of the ball. You have a lot of veterans. Majority of them are veterans, and they really.
I'm looking forward to see this Saturday, Gene. Robert Hainsey. We haven't really seen him dress up.
We haven't even dropped his name on the show.
Yeah, I mean he's going to have a good opportunity. Obviously, he'll be in with the second line, and they'll probably play. Once that second line gets in there, they'll probably play the whole game, if I'm not mistaken. So
that's why I'm like, if you're going to play Trask, play him with the 2s. If not, I don't even need to bother seeing him.
Yeah,
I know what he's going to do with 3s and 4s.
Yeah, and it's going to be nice to have him sit and hold a clipboard and not have that pressure on him to really be needed this season
or take unnecessary hits. I mean, that's the worst thing a quarterback can really get is to hate the Sam Darnold thing, but to see ghost, like become quick triggered, worry about everything, what might be coming around the corner when you're trying to read a defense. Like let the game slow down a little bit, maybe not Justin Fields level, but but these rookies, man, that's the one thing I don't think people really understand, and why so many good college players don't make it is because the speed of the game's crazy.
And you have to mentally, you have to prepare yourself. Like Trevor Lawrence, this is going to really be a telling season for Trevor Lawrence to see how he does, with the rest of his career, because that team is atrocious.
I feel bad for him.
I do too.
He's in a bad situation. I
don't think his coach cares about him either.
Yeah, I just the protection is just not going to be there. The poor kid is going to get hit a lot.
Yeah, And hopefully, I don't wish injury on anybody. I just hope he doesn't end up like Joe Burrow did, where Joe Burrow was just in a bad situation. But I think Joe Burrow mentally, I think Joe Burrow is going to be just fine. I think we've got a nice crop of young quarterbacks coming into the league now, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of them. Your guy in Los Angeles, the Chargers. How much his name?
Herbert.
Herbert, yeah. Herbert, I love that kid, man. I love
legit.
him. And he doesn't care. He doesn't even care. So
and Justin Fields is another one that I'm sorry for, because I think Matt Nagy he's just not the dude.
He's incompetent.
Yeah. Like, to allow him to get hit like he did, on that blindside blitz.
And not pull him, or not add more, at least shore that side of the ball up if that's where it's, the pressure's continuously coming from.
Well, the offensive line's not communicating, and then the quarterback's not making the line calls.
Well, they're also not good.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, they have a lot of injuries up front too. I mean, obviously losing Tevin Jenkins, that hurts.
That's what I'm saying. Gardner Minshew was serviceable. I would have kept Gardner Minshew out here and protected my guy until next year when you get some more draft picks, possibly free agency. There's a lot of things that could happen, but why throw him out there to where mentally you don't know how he's going to handle the beating because he hasn't lost. I mean, throughout his whole career, he just hasn't lost.
He's got to play, but I mean, and giving him credit, his ability is gonna, allow him to make a lot of plays despite, the weaknesses around him. He's that talented. I mean, we saw the throw where he was running to his left, throws it. I mean, dude's legit. So
yeah,
he won't be an issue. I think he'll be fine eventually. They need more pieces to go with him, and I think a better offensive coach too as well. To help him out. I'm just not sold on Urban Meyer. I don't think that's gonna long term that's gonna end bad, because players are just gonna start tuning him out, and then it's gonna be the end of that.
He's gonna get sick or something.
No, have you guys seen When Harry Met Sally?
Yeah,
I haven't watched
the 24-hour tumor, man. Shad Khan got the 24-hour tumor. Can't coach anymore.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think that was just a bad choice. I think they were just trying to get butts in seats. It's all about the money. I think there were good coaches out there to be had. I think Eric Bieniemy would have been a nice choice again. No, stop it.
No, but I'm just saying, like, that's to me is Todd Bowles players like. Even in New York, like, the players liked him. I think we saw the incompetence in the GM is what was the worst part of that year. Maybe Todd Bowles didn't play his part probably as well as he possibly could have. But when you're not getting talent around your GMs, did you see that basically they knew they were going to fire their GM, but then let him pick the players anyway before they fired him, like 2 days after? Like, that's the kind of ownership that is going to ruin your head coach.
That guy's a clown anyway.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean,
you guys understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about earlier before I joined, like, how the draft process for the Bucs has improved. I mean, it's because everybody's on the same page. They're working as one, and everyone knows what they're looking for as far as players. That's been the biggest difference.
And the Jaguars don't draft bad players. Their issue was people tuned out Tom Coughlin in the previous regime. Like, that was the core of the issue. If you throw even a Todd Bowles with a competent GM, obviously a Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. I mean, we saw what was Jameis Winston's best year in Tampa when Lovie Smith basically toned Dirk Cutter down from being completely Dirk Cutter. I mean, I think Todd Bowles believes in his defense enough to have an offensive coordinator to keep, the chains moving, let your defense keep you in games. I think that's what, and everyone's so obsessed with having this, quarterback whisperer guru as your head coach. And that's fantastic. And that's great. But you need more than that. You need people who are leader of men, who can actually teach, who can do things out besides reading defenses and calling up cool plays. Like, that's why I think Sean McVay is an amazing, case study, because he's a great play caller. He's got a great scheme, but he hires people. Oh my goodness, what's the Chargers head coach's name? He's defensive coordinator.
Oh, Wade Phillips.
Yeah.
No,
or no,
before
Gus,
or after.
Gus
no, No, hold on.
Their new coach, Staley.
Brandon Staley. So
Yeah.
Brandon Staley, he finds him as a defensive assistant in Denver and trusts him to build an entire scheme. Like, to me, that's what's the intriguing part of when you get a young head coach, is because you get those fresh new ideas. But just because you were seeing it in Arizona right now, just because you can run an air raid offense and you can make an offense look cool, doesn't mean that it's going to work.
Yeah. When I look back at that, I mean, the big reason that Cliff Kingsbury got to come to Arizona was because of the success of Patrick Mahomes.
Mhm.
It's Patrick Mahomes effect. That's all it was.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes, he coached him. So they bring in Cliff Kingsbury. Kingsbury doesn't like Rosen. And then their quarterback, their current quarterback,
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray comes in and they're thinking, oh, he's got similar skill set. I won't say the same, similar skill set. Okay, so let's put them in and let's see if they work. Now,
didn't he not have a winning season with Mahomes in college, though?
That's correct. Yeah.
Sorry, in the Big 12. Sorry,
he coached Patrick Mahomes, so of course he gets the opportunity.
I think the Cardinals are going to be the biggest disappointment this year. I don't think they're going to do well. I think they're going to.
I don't even. Their running game is going to be atrocious.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be the biggest disappointment. I think the rest of the NFC West is going to jump them, and I don't see them being a playoff team.
No.
How many playoff teams do you see plus coming out of the West? Do you see 3 or 2?
Out of that division, I'll probably say 2. Obviously, I think the Rams. And then it's going to come down to the Seahawks and the 49ers. If I had to say one of those, I would probably say the 49ers. I just think the Seahawks have lost too much.
I think Jimmy G insurance is going to look very good halfway through the year.
Yeah.
And I'm right there with you because I'm not sure who their quarterback is, but I think that's going to factor into whether they make it to the playoffs or not. Is who's under center.
Has the Seahawks left tackle come back into camp yet?
Yeah, I have no idea on that one, but I just feel like San Francisco's roster is just better. So, yeah,
he hasn't. The Dwayne Brown hasn't come back yet. So if Russell Wilson's missing his left tackle, yes, he's got DK. Yes, he's got Tyler, and they would just overpay Jamal Adams. I mean,
they hooked him up.
But it's just Jamal Adams and really nothing else on defense.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, they lost a lot of dudes, like a lot of guys left.
Shaq Griffin.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or Keel. I think they're both Shaqs, but whichever one's the cornerback.
Yeah.
They're just like the Legion of Boo right now. They're not even the whole Boo.
Did you all see Trevor Sikkema recently posted? So Jamal Adams has like an impressive 24 sacks for his career. Did you see who was number 2 on that list?
He's number 10.
No, he's like number 6.
Is he number 6? I was thinking he was like number 10.
For secondary with sacks.
Who's number 2?
Rondé.
Oh, okay. There we go. Yeah. I figure you're talking all time.
All time. I'm talking. So that's the thing about Jamal Adams. I mean, he is a safety edge rusher, linebacker, leg type situation.
Wow. That's pretty high.
Already. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's pretty good.
But I don't know how realistically, guys, I'm going to ask this question.
Who's number 1?
I think it was Dawkins, but don't hold me to that. I'd have to look at the tweet.
Or maybe Charles Woodson. Well, no, Woodson did.
I think it is Dawkins. I think it is Brian Dawkins.
It sounds right because he did get a lot of pressure.
Yeah, he's balling out of control. But, quietly, you had Rondé coming up doing what he's doing, and he still isn't in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I have a problem with that.
He's going to be there next year. Hopefully him and Simeon Rice. So we'll see.
Bro, we got to.
I just hope Simeon gets into the finalists. I just want him to get. Because Rondé is still, and he finally, remember, Rondé had like 4 years of not even making that step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my biggest problem. 2018, Simeon was a semifinalist in 2018. And I was like,
was he?
Yes, go look.
I don't even remember.
Oh, here he is. He's right there. And I'm thinking, okay, we've got momentum. Let's get this guy in the Hall of Fame. Crickets. Nothing. And then I talked to the representative, the Buccaneers, which I'm not dropping his name. And he's like, oh, yeah, his time will come. It will get him in here. Yeah, whatever, dude. But anyway, I'm just, it just frustrates me. So I would like to see these are players that are deserving. And I've had this argument before. I mean, Simeon Rice was the second ranked sack guy in Cardinals history before he came over to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's already playing at a high level. I think his second year, he ended up with like 16 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't tell me that this guy is not playing at a high level. And they don't give me the argument that it was because of his surrounding cast. Because if you look at what he had in Arizona, he was still doing his thing.
Yeah, he's a fun player.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, guys.
By the way, Rodney Harrison, number 1 with 30 sacks. And then Rondé 2 at 28, and then Brian Dawkins with 26.
Okay. All right.
So 2 players around him. Isn't Rodney Harrison in the Hall of Fame?
Yep, sure is.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. You have a guy sandwiched in the middle.
Yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. Well, we'll talk about it. We'll definitely talk about this later. Plus, as usual, thank you, my friend. Tell everybody how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, just go to Google, type in Real Bucs Talk, and you can find everything there related to our work and content. Easiest way, though, just go on YouTube, type in Real Bucs Talk, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Make sure you get all that great content that we got coming out. Mondays, live stream, 9 p.m., and we got film studies weekly. We're going to work on some tonight. So some more college prospects that we're going to look into. And obviously, I know a lot of people are requesting Joe Tryon every week. We're going to try to make that happen.
Nice. Okay, KB, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, Mr. Popular.
I don't think you have to go very far to find my Twitter handle these days. Bucs_Barrett on Twitter. Feel free to have educational conversations with me about actual football players who do good things against real opponents.
All right. And for me, it's Gene. It's at Buc What You Heard. And yeah, please hit me up. I will follow you back. I promise, as I always say. And I did want to ask this question here. T. Smitty has one final question. Do you think the Broncos regret passing on Fields?
Yes.
Because Bridgewater's not the answer.
Well, they drafted a cornerback when they traded a draft pick and paid $20 million for Teddy Bridgewater, when you could have taken $20 million, drafted a quarterback, got a couple of corners, maybe an O lineman, spread the love a little bit. Yeah. But yeah, they're going to regret it.
Atlanta passed on him too. So
I think it's the right decision, though, for Denver between the two choices, personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bridgewater is just more dependable. He's a guy that can keep the offense afloat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if anything goes wrong, if you start 1-3, throw, what's his face, Lock out there and see what happens, because your season's probably lost at that point anyway.
And see, this is the thing. Bridgewater beat Lock out for that starting quarterback.
Yeah, he deserves it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Their team is good enough to win with Bridgewater. Defensively, they'll be strong. So they should be able to compete in that division if they're, stay healthy offensively. That's been their biggest issue.
I think if they stay healthy defensively, they're going to make some noise.
Yeah, Von Miller coming back. Yeah.
And people forget the Panthers, as bad as people make them out to be last year, they had 3 1,000-yard receivers. Teddy was the quarterback for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have good receivers in Denver.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, you got it, Bucs time. I got Tryon on the dial. So,
all right. Well, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on. Hopefully, I can get you on next week. But that's pretty much it for us, guys, and we are out of here. Peace.
Don't find.